veterans, welcome back. I am your Uncle Ray, the last real redneck in wrestling, Raylen Bodai, and welcome back to the Bodai Breakdown, where we go into the ins and outs of the Ryse stars you know and love and the ones you may not know yet. Speaking of which, with me in the studio today is another graduate of the Stronghold Wrestling Academy, debuted this year. This is Rubio Bell. Rubio, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good
to see you.
I'm doing better than you, obviously. I see you got your arm all gimped up here.
Yeah, I figure we'll discuss it here in a minute, but
yeah, we'll get there. So you debuted this year, which you trained here with Brandon K. What got you into wrestling to start with?
So originally I watched wrestling by myself when I was a kid, unknowing that my brother was actually a huge fan also. So growing up, that was always something that I feel like we bonded over. We really just seemed to be polar opposites in every category. But wrestling was the one thing that we always had in common. And I remember watching a lot of these stars on TV as a kid and thinking to myself, like, man, these are some pretty athletic guys, but like, I think I can do a lot of that too. And I'd sit there and tell my friends, oh, you see that giant backflip or these crazy things, I can do that. And I don't think any of them like really believed me until I started getting a little older and then trying it out for myself.
So you and your brother were separate fans, and then what was the thing that kind of revealed you to each other? What brought you together?
Well, actually, interestingly enough, my brother watched wrestling when I was like really, really little, but he got in trouble all the time because he'd be hitting people's elbows and putting on submissions in daycare. So my parents had to make him stop watching or whatever. But I vividly remember WrestleMania 28. It was the first pay-per-view my parents ever let us get. Anything else for wrestling, I'd have to like look online, and I wasn't very tech savvy. I was like maybe 8 years old. We bought that pay-per-view, and I remember my brother was really excited, and I was like, why are you excited? Like, wrestling is my thing. And he had told me that he had watched it before and all that, and like it was just a really good bonding moment. And I remember John Cena versus The Rock being like the biggest feud of my entire life up until that point. That was the dream match. So yeah, I think that was like the culmination of all of that.
Were you ever the sort who was putting other kids in figure fours at preschool, or was that exclusively your brother thing?
Not necessarily, just I was always so scared of like getting in trouble. So I wouldn't be doing anything like that. I would wait till I got home to do that with my brother. We had scheduled like fight times. It would be every day after dinner. We'd just like be like, can we be excused from the table? Our parents, we'd go put our dishes away or whatever. In the living room, it was go time. And we would beat the hell out of each other. So yeah, I was able to avoid doing a lot of that in school.
All right, so did you start then into like backyard type stuff, or did you come straight into legitimate professional wrestling?
I know a lot of people were able to train before they were 18. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't really know even where to train, but I always knew that was something that I wanted to do. But as for my introduction into pro wrestling, it was straight from being not trained into, all right, let's learn how to run the ropes and actually being trained.
So did you have that first experience here?
Yes.
How did you come to that?
So interestingly enough, another wrestler that the Ryse audience probably knows, Jason Hendricks. I met him at college, actually, in the WVU weight room. I was hanging out with my buddy. We were lifting, doing our regular schedule. And we're just sitting there, just chopping it up. And I'm waiting for the leg extension machine. And these people are taking forever. They say, oh, we go one more set. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there talking to my buddy. And at this time, WWE was about to sell, and we were like, oh, if they sell to the Saudis or whatever, like, what would this mean for the company? And out of nowhere, this long-haired gentleman with a mustache walks up to me, and he goes, hey, so here you're talking about WWE, you like wrestling? And I was like, yeah, man, like, that's my thing, I love wrestling. And he was like, well, I'm actually an indie wrestler myself. And I was like, get out of here, dude. Like, I've been wanting to train forever. I just had like no ends at all. And he was like, let me give you my phone number. Come with me to where I train at and check the place out, you know, meet some people, see if you like it. And I was like, all right, cool, man. So I got his number. Literally like a day later, I'm sitting there texting him. We set something up, meet up. He drives me up here to the Stronghold. I meet Brandon K for the first time. And I didn't get to participate yet in any of the training drills or anything, but just to sit there and watch how it all kind of gets put together a little bit and see the facility, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I knew that these people were going to take care of me and that this was going to be the place where I was going to learn how to do what it is that I love. I ended up having my tryout, which went very well, and I've been training here ever since.
Right. You told me an interesting story before we started about how you were always athletic but not good at sports. So let's go over that a little bit.
Yeah, so I've had, I would say, to me it's strange, because I've done sports and then stopped, and then done sports and stopped, like all throughout childhood. And every sport that I've ever played, it wasn't that I wasn't athletic, but I was always, I guess, just too small to be good. I played basketball as a kid. I could shoot all right, but I never got the ball because I was way shorter than everybody else. I played lacrosse in middle school, and I was okay at that, but I couldn't keep up with some of the other kids. I played football in high school, and even then, like, I was put on the offensive line, and yeah, you can rightfully so. You should laugh at that because I am not a lineman type at all.
Not.
But I always felt that I had an athletic gift. I've always, for a long time, I've been able to like do flips and like gymnastics and stuff like that ever since a young age. So I feel like that's a big part of my athletic ability. But as for organized sports, I was horrible. I was so bad.
Well, it sounds like what it was a physique mismatch more than anything. Was it that you didn't work well with the team, or was it that you were discouraged by the mismatch with your size and what was going on?
I think mainly it just had to do with passion. A lot of the sports that I played, I just played them for fun, to make friends. My heart really wasn't in it, and I really felt that in high school when I played football. Like, I did make a lot of friends doing that, and I don't regret my time doing that at all. But I recognize that I didn't work as hard as maybe I should have if I wanted to be successful in that, mainly because my heart wasn't in it. And I think that's why it's so different from wrestling, because my heart, I feel like, is in this, and I can give 100%. And it's on me if I fail or succeed, not a team effort, you know?
Right. Right. So you're talking about it's a question of passion, because football, as anybody who's seen it knows, hurts a lot. And you were feeling like there was no point hurting yourself that much for something that you weren't invested in. Wrestling still hurts quite a lot. I mean, look at your arm right now.
Yeah.
But if you have a passion for it, it's easier to handle the pain.
Absolutely.
Easier to endure it. So
sure.
That's what you're finding now. Obviously, you debuted this year. Our fair show, fair event was the first one that you had a match on, correct?
The first card that I was on,
The first card that you were on, you'd done some pre-show stuff before, but your main card debut was at that fair show.
Yep.
Against Foxcatcher, who was previously on this show. How did you feel about your debut?
I felt like I performed well, but in my mind, it wasn't up to my standard. I didn't get the win that night, and I kind of beat myself up over it a little bit. I tend to have high expectations for myself a lot and to give more, and I feel like I just wasn't able to deliver on that night.
So, I don't know if you've watched the show before. When we had Fox on, he talked about it because it was his, card debut as well. He'd also done pre-show stuff with you, if I'm remembering correctly. And he talked about how some of the things he did to you that night going after your leg the way he did weren't really what he feels he is. How did you feel about it on the receiving end?
I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I felt a little disrespected. I felt that, it was supposed to be a battle of sportsmanship, a battle of wits, and I feel like in a lot of cases, he kind of took the easy way out, taking away my greatest strengths. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and point the finger at him. I have to look in the mirror and say, all right, why was he able to do that? Yeah, he was able to take advantage of those things, and ultimately, it earned him the victory. And wins and losses mean something here in Ryse, and I felt like in a lot of ways I was maybe too trusting. I don't mean to break the fourth wall a little bit here, but me and Fox, we train together. We've had conversations about some of these things. And like I said before about it being a show of sportsmanship, I felt that he took the easy way out. And I'm not saying that that's not something that you can do. I actually respect him for trying to get the win. Sometimes I look at myself and think maybe I should do more to get that win, but I don't think that it's in my character. And he has regrets now, but when you walk through that curtain, you should leave having no regrets. So I personally wouldn't have done the things that he did.
Speaking of walking through a curtain with regrets, you are here with a bad arm. You had a match at our last event against Glenn Spector. I'm guessing that's where you picked this up. So after the fact, here with your arm like that, do you have regrets about that match? Because you once again came up on the short side.
No. Honestly, I feel like you shouldn't live your life having regrets. Every injury, every mistake, every obstacle is just one notch in your belt of experience. I think that I had a great performance with Glenn. I think that we gave the fans something to leave them wanting more. But as before about pointing the finger, I can't really point the finger at Glenn for this. This is the result of high risk. And that's just what Rubio Bell is all about. I can't be afraid of the risk. I have to embrace it and accept what comes with that. So as for the regrets, I have no regrets. My body will heal. But to leave it all out there in the ring, that's what I'm here to do. I want to be dangerous on the mat. I want to be dangerous in the sky. And you know what? Sometimes the risks just don't pay off, but that's a part of it. And I'm willing to learn from my mistakes and hopefully continue to add notches to my belt of experience and to get those wins.
That's part of what gambling's about, part of what being the wild card is. You never know on a day-to-day how Rubio's going to react, what he's going to do. And when you had that match with Glenn, who's a veteran of many years, been lots of places, he had great things to say about you on the live mic after to the crowd. And how did that make you feel?
I won't lie, like it made me a little emotional. He's somebody that I look up to, somebody that I see as kind of a mentor, and somebody who, like you said, has a lot of experience, someone who I should be able to learn a lot from. And for him to do that for me, it really meant a lot.
He has also been your trainer for, how long has he been around? Like it's 6 months, a year, something like that.
I think so.
So the last little bit, helping polish you off, that's something that he's done. So it's you've already got a little bit of a mix of styles, both from a wrestler standpoint and from a trainer standpoint, in that you had Brandon Kay, who was a renowned flyer in his time, and then you got Glenn Spector, who is, I would have to say, a brawler.
For sure.
And you have those inputs into you, and that's why you have the flying and you do the striking, because we know you have that insane hurricane elbow that is that I don't think the people have seen very much yet. Certainly not on the main card. So we hope that we'll see you again soon, and that you get an opportunity to show that off. The next event that we have is October 11th, back at the Uniontown Mall, which is our home base. We're going through a big push, a lot of shows the second half of the year, as our patrons will know. But the next event is October 11th. What's it? Nightmare, I believe. A Nightmare at the Stronghold. Hopefully we'll see you there, and it won't be a nightmare for you this time. Thanks again, patrons, and tune in again next time.